Flood Preparedness Week.
That's right. It's Flood Preparedness Week. Department of Water Resources puts this on. This is Mike Mierzwa. He's the lead flood management planner for the California Department of Water Resources. Thank you for coming in.
Oh, thank you.
Great time for people to think about flood preparedness when it's not raining.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the point, is to do things before the floodwaters come.
I didn't realize it's the #1 natural disaster in the United States.
It is, and it's mostly drowning deaths that are associated with flooding.
And so it's a good time to think about it. And one of the things that you want people to think about is flood insurance to protect your home, to protect your property.
Yes, and what most people don't realize is that there's typically a 30-day waiting period from when you enroll in insurance before it actually starts covering your personal property.
All right, and so we think about the date right now. Here we are coming up on the 1st of November. That means, assuming that we start getting some rain, you wouldn't even be protected until around the beginning of December.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. Some of the other things to think about as we talk about the disasters we face in California, and we've pretty much seen it all here in California when you talk about flooding, and and flooding can happen. We've seen it in different parts of the state. Since I've been here the last 22 years, we've seen it here in the greater Sacramento area. One year it was really concentrated up around up in the Feather River area. It can happen just about any neighborhood where there's a big water source.
That's true. Flooding
or
can
even
happen,
localized.
Yes, it can happen anywhere in the state of California. This past year, in addition to the flooding that was happening here in Northern California, there were flood events also in Southern California.
Definitely. You also were mentioning to me the other day, we were talking about the wildfire areas too, and that actually presents a kind of a special set of circumstances when it comes to flood and rain season. Tell us about those.
After you have a fire come through, all of the loss of the vegetation means that the watershed itself can be flashier, means the flood response can be quicker, and it can actually start carrying debris when you have heavy and intense rains in the winter.
So here you've got the people that are already dealing with this horrible disaster. They've lost everything, and now they've got to think about if they're out there on the property, even if they've got some of their property left now, the rain coming just to make things even worse.
Yeah, the risk is actually increased for the next several years.
Now, I saw something about that there can be, is that 30-day wait on flood insurance waived for places that have burn scars now after a wildfire? In some cases, how does that work?
There are a few cases where that 30-day period is waived, but it has to be where you're on federal land that has been declared a burn area. So for most of the residential areas where you have private property, you still have that 30-day period.
I know that the flood risk is higher for wildfire areas for quite some time.
Yes, it usually takes watersheds 3 to 5 years to actually begin to recover. Fortunately, that recovery in the watersheds will be a natural process.
Okay. And as far as localized flooding in homeowners, how can people prepare for flood events just around their own homes?
Right. So there's 3 things we ask homeowners to do. The first thing is to buy flood insurance. The second is to plan for an evacuation. What is your evacuation route? How are you going to have contact numbers for your family? And then finally to have an emergency preparedness kit. Now, around the house, there's some simple things that this is the perfect time of year to go through and do to protect your property. First, cleaning your gutters can make a huge difference. If your gutter's over top, that water will come onto the backside of your house and can cause damage. The second thing you can do in anticipation of a flood or a storm event is to go through and contact your local community and see if there are sandbags that are distributed. Sandbags don't need to be filled with sand. You can use dirt. All you really need is a shovel and some dirt, and you can fill the sandbags. And the idea is just to protect little areas of your house, like your garage door, some of the doors coming into your house. You don't need to protect the entire property. And the goal is to move the water back into the streets.
All right, good time to think about it now. Like we said, when it's not raining, when we've got nice dry weather here, because those rains are coming. At least we hope they're coming at some point.
Well, we want to have the right amount of rain.
The right amount of rain at the right time.
That's right.
All right, Mike, thanks so much. Mike Mierzwa with the California Department of Resources. Thanks for the tips. We appreciate it. Guys, back to you.
Thank you very much. Let's go check in with Court. Look at your roadways.